The Prelude by William Wordsworth. Book 2. And not alone, mid gloom and tumult, but no less mid fair and tranquil scenes, that universal power and fitness in the latent qualities and essences of things, by which the mind is moved with feelings of delight, to me came, strengthened with a superadded soul of virtue not its own. My morning walks were early. Oft before the hours of school I travelled around our little lake, 5 miles of pleasant wandering. Happy time, more dear for this, that one was by my side, a friend then passionately loved. With heart how full would he peruse these lines. For many years have since flowed in between us, and, our minds both silent to each other, at this time we live as if those hours had never been. Nor seldom did I lift our cottage latch far earlier, ere one smoke wreath had risen from human dwelling, or the vernal thrush was audible, and sate among the woods, alone upon some jutting eminence, and the first gleam of dawnlight, when the vale, yet slumbering, lay in utter solitude. How shall I seek the origin? Where find faith in the marvelous things which then I felt? Oft in these moments such a holy calm would overspread my soul, that bodily eyes were utterly forgotten, and what I saw appeared like something in myself, a dream, a prospect in the mind. 'Twere long to tell what spring and autumn, what the winter snows, and what the summer shade, what day and night, evening and morning, sleep and waking, thought from sources inexhaustible, poured forth to feed the spirit of religious love in which I walked with nature. But let this be not forgotten, that I still retained my first creative sensibility, that by the regular action of the world my soul was unsubdued. A plastic power abode with me, a forming hand, at times rebellious, acting in a devious mood, a local spirit of his own, at war with general tendency, but, for the most, subservient strictly to external things with which it communed. An auxiliar light came from my mind, which on the setting sun bestowed new splendor. The melodious birds, the fluttering breezes, fountains that run on murmuring so sweetly in themselves, obeyed a like dominion, and the midnight storm grew darker in the presence of my eye. Hence my obeisance, my devotion hence, and hence my transport. Nor should this, perchance, pass unrecorded, that I still had loved the exercise and produce of a toil, than analytic industry to me more pleasing, and whose character I deem is more poetic as resembling more creative agency. The song would speak of that interminable building reared by observations of affinities in objects where no brotherhood exists to passive minds. My 17th year was come, and whether from this habit rooted now so deeply in my mind, or from excess in the great social principle of life, coercing all things into sympathy, to unorganic natures were transferred my own enjoyments, or the power of truth, coming in revelation, did converse with things that really are. I at this time saw blessings spread around me like a sea. Thus, while the days flew by and years passed on, from nature and her overflowing soul, I had received so much that all my thoughts were steeped in feeling. I was only then contented, when, with bliss ineffable, I felt the sentiment of being spread o'er all that moves, and all that seemeth still, or all that, lost beyond the reach of thought and human knowledge, to the human eye invisible, yet liveth to the heart, or all that leaps and runs, and shouts and sings, or beats the gladsome air, or all that glides beneath the wave, yea, in the wave itself, and mighty depth of waters. Wonder not if high the transport, great the joy I felt, communing in this sort through earth and heaven, with every form of creature, as it looked toward the uncreated, with a countenance of adoration, with an eye of love. One song they sang, and it was audible, most audible then, when the fleshy ear, o'ercome by humblest prelude of that strain, forgot her functions and slept undisturbed. If this be error, and another faith find easier access to the pious mind, yet were I grossly destitute of all those human sentiments that make this earth so dear. If I should fail with grateful voice to speak of you, ye mountains and ye lakes, and sounding cataracts, ye mists and winds that dwell among the hills where I was born. If in my youth I have been pure in heart, if, mingling with the world, I am content with my own modest pleasures, and have lived with God and nature communing, removed from little enmities and low desires, the gift is yours. If in these times of fear, this melancholy waste of hopes o'erthrown, if, mid indifference and apathy and wicked exaltation, when good men on every side fall off, we know not how, to selfishness, disguised in gentle names of peace and quiet domestic love, yet mingled not unwillingly with sneers on visionary minds. If in this time of dereliction and dismay I yet despair not of our nature, but retain a more than Roman confidence, a faith that fails not, in all sorrow my support, the blessing of my life, the gift is yours, ye winds and sounding cataracts, 'tis yours, ye mountains, thine, O nature. Thou hast fed my lofty speculations, and in thee, for this uneasy heart of ours, I find a never-failing principle of joy and purest passion. Thou, my friend, wert reared in the great city, mid far other scenes. But we, by different roads, at length have gained the self-same bourne. And for this cause to thee I speak, unapprehensive of contempt, the insinuated scoff of coward tongues, and all that silent language which so oft in conversation between man and man blots from the human countenance all trace of beauty and of love. For thou hast sought the truth in solitude, and since the days that gave thee liberty, full long desired to serve in nature's temple, thou hast been the most assiduous of her ministers. In many things, my brother, chiefly here, in this our deep devotion. Fare thee well. Health and the quiet of a healthful mind attend thee, seeking oft the haunts of men, and yet more often living with thyself and for thyself. So haply shall thy days be many, and a blessing to mankind.